Hello everyone, my name is Ty, and today we are interviewing Techland's Dying Light franchise director, Tymon Smektala. So, feel free to sit back, grab a snack, and enjoy.
Let's do that, yes.
Alright, so, what do you think of community projects like the Elysium remake from the Project Renaissance team?
Okay, so I think the first thing I need to say is I'm super happy that things like this exist. And that's not only me, but generally I think all of the devs here at Techland. And why? Because this is, I think this is a proof of that whatever we are creating is so exciting and so interesting to people that they are willing to take this and start developing and taking it further and higher using their own imagination and creativity. So obviously projects like this, especially projects as with such a big potential and built with seemingly so much love, this is something very special, because you can really, as a developer, you can really see that you've built something, like you've built a foundation, and now there are people who are willing to build a house on top of this foundation. So this is super flattering. We are trying to stay in touch with the guys that are working on this project, also on some other definitely smaller scale Dying Light projects, trying to lend our hand and be supportive as much as possible. So the only thing I can say basically is fingers crossed. This is amazing what the guys are putting together, and let's see, and let's hope that this will kind of reach the end line and be finally released at some stage, and will meet expectations of both the creators and the fans of Dying Light.
Alright, so moving on to other community map questions as well, what would you say is your favorite community map right now? There's a lot of them out there, but if you had to choose one, what would it be?
You know what? I like some of the maps that are in production, because we are also trying to motivate and stimulate the creators to build something that we feel is going to be interesting. But I don't want to spoil those because they are still under production. So maybe I kind of spilled some beans already. What I was super happy about and super amazed by was the outcome of our initiative to have some community maps for the firearms update. I think all of those maps that were created with firearms as kind of the design foundation, they were super interesting. Obviously the duck hunt map was something very special, because that was a map that I think none of us here expected. We were expecting more of a traditional shoot the zombies types of maps, and this one was super imaginative, super creative. So I would say that this is the one.
Awesome. So, you know, there's a lot of developers behind the scenes that are working on these very expansive community maps, like the Elysium remake and so on.
Yep.
When do we think we can see the next community map update, or developer tools update, I should say? The next big expansion that's going to allow modders and developer tools creators to really push it the next step.
Okay, so I don't want to kind of do the work for Rafael Polito, who is our guy who's responsible for generally the development and the direction of the dev tools. But something that we have stated already quite a few times, that for us this is an ongoing project. So this is not that we have dropped them and we ceased working on them. The next update that's going to be released in a few days already brings some additional elements to the DevTools. You can also expect some additions in the next update after that, and I think in the next update after that we'll manage to allow players to add their own meshes and textures, generate graphical objects, and also graphical modifications to the game. This was always a dream of us, to not only allow players to build maps, but also do more advanced modifications of how the game plays, and also being able to add more their own content, personal content, or custom-made content to the maps. So this is the next step for us after introducing co-op. I can't guarantee that we'll make it in the next update, because this is actually quite a technical challenge to allow players to import their own assets and use them on maps, and also allow other players to be able to download those assets and see them working in the maps that they download. But I am pretty confident, I'm super sure that we will continue supporting DevTools and adding functionalities to them as well. So the new update will bring some additions, maybe smaller ones. I think the next one will be much more significant in terms of that. If we'll not make it because of the technical difficulties, then maybe we'll need to postpone it a little bit, but definitely that's the next big step for the DevTools.
So my next question for you is about the Dying Light franchise as a whole. There's a lot of potential to expand into more comics, movies, TV shows, even more spin-off games. Are there any plans that you guys kind of have behind the scenes? I'm sure there's some beans that you can't spill, but is there anything that you can bring
I am
up?
afraid, unfortunately, all of those beans are in the can that says don't spill on it.
Totally understandable.
But yes, we are working on I would say more or less actively working, but we already have some directions of what we want to do with Dying Light franchise as a series in terms of games. But again, I'm not able to discuss that because what we are focusing right now is actually Tower Raids and DLC 2. Those are the two most important releases for us at this stage, because this is something that's going to happen in the nearest future. Of course, after the success of Fallout, after the success of The Last of Us TV series, after the upcoming Borderlands movie, everyone thinks about doing something similar for Dying Light. Actually, this is something that we have been developing to some extent with different partners already. So again, nothing to announce here, but this is something that I think everyone at Techland would love to see one day, to be able to just go back home after working on Dying Light and then being able to watch Dying Light on streaming platform. So I hope that one day this dream will become reality.
Awesome. Will there be any further improvements to the overall multiplayer experience?
Any examples? Do you have any specific in mind?
Well, I know a lot of players ran into a lot of connecting issues, a lot of bugs throughout their experience, third-person animations, rather than just watching your friends going across monkey bars. Sometimes it looks a little silly. So are there any plans to go back and maybe change some of those things?
Yes, so obviously this is something that we want to develop further. We believe that Dying Light is built on co-op, and it's a super significant part of the game. So what I expect us to do is that with the update that will bring us the Tower Raids, which is this type of experience, which is more or less built, designed around co-op. That doesn't mean that you cannot play those raids by yourself, but I still think that co-op is the best, the optimal way to experience Tower Raids. So with this update, we'll focus on some co-op online improvements. I think what we'll target most is the stability of co-op connections and a general, I would say, user experience and UI flow to make it a little bit easier to manage and a little bit easier to understand where your friends are, etc., etc. There will be some changes to animations, but I don't think they will be the most important. That will spend a lot of time on working on animations for this update that I have in mind right now. But definitely the more technical side of it, the more backend side of co-op will get a significant improvement with the Tower Raids update. So you can expect that, and after that we'll definitely go back at some point to animations. But I need to say one thing, that and actually using this opportunity that we have this conversation, and through you I can communicate with the community. What I would like to ask for is community understanding that we need to slow down the process of constantly updating the game a little bit, because we want to focus on Tower Raids and DLC 2. So I think this will be we want to get kind of super tight on those two projects to make sure that we create them with the quality that players expect. And only after that we'll get back to improving the game on a more constant basis, in the same way that we did last year with community updates and basically all of the updates from last year.
So you guys confirmed that Carnage Hall or the arenas are going to be coming back in future content in some sort of way. Is there anything you can reveal about that?
Yes, so what I had in mind is definitely a direction for us. So no details to reveal right now, because of course we have like lots of documents that describe them, but
Mhm.
we will choose exactly which features, what kind of tweaks and changes we want to do to those arenas after we get closer to actually implementing them, those changes. As I said, right now the focus is tower rates, then DLC2. After that, we'll kind of choose and see what we can do with Carnage Hall. But I think every Dying Light player understands that the format of the arenas maybe it is a little bit outside of the classic zombie fantasy, but on the other hand, as a game mode, it has this potential to offer lots of replayability. And
Mhm.
using those arenas, using those assets, using the enemies that we have there, we can even without changing the environments much, but just trying to experiment with new game modes and new ways to use those arenas and fight with those enemies. I think this is something that we can do pretty easily, increasing the replayability of that. So I think after, once again, those two big drops that we have lined up at this stage, we'll get back to various other elements of the game, including Bloody Ties, because right now it's basically an integral part of the experience as a part of the Reloaded edition.
All right. Speaking of other elements, you guys went back and rechanged the look of the biters and virals, give them completely
Mhm.
new models and everything. Do you guys plan on doing something similar with the special infected, adding more variety of skins?
Uh, Yes, probably. I don't think this, because for biters it was just one big push for biters and virals. We just really realized that we miss some of the humanity, some of the expression on their faces. So it was very important for us to add that to increase the scariness, the generally the whole atmosphere of the game. We want to do that for the special infected as well, but I don't think we'll do it in a way that there will be an update which will say, okay, so now we have special infected overhauled. I think it will be more, we'll just kind of keep dripping those changes over a few releases without focusing on this big pack, because once again, right now the focus is tower raids, is the DLC2. Those I think even DLC2 more will bring some improvements in how special infected look like. Then maybe in the next few updates we'll just do some tweaks here and there. But I don't expect right now we'll kind of do this one big ultimate pack of improvements made to special infected. I think we'll rather separate it over a few additional releases.
So, ahead of this interview, I decided to ask my community for some really spicy questions. Things that kind of
Okay.
like are a bit out of the box, but things that the overall community like really wants. And so,
Okay.
the flashlight. Are there
I'm
any
getting
further
worried.
changes coming to the flashlight?
Okay, so yes, I would love to. I believe, and this is something I will be fighting for in all of our future releases for sure. I think Dying Light should have, in terms of lighting, in terms of UV light, in terms of flashlight, we should actually be at the forefront of what's possible in video games. So definitely, I will be fighting for that in the future games in Dying Light universe. For Dying Light 2. The thing is, we would like to make some changes, but this is actually one of the most expensive features to introduce, looking at the time and the amount of technical people that we'll have to assign to change how lighting works in Dying Light 2. So I can't guarantee and I can't commit to the idea that we'll do like a super significant overhaul. It is on the table. This is definitely one of the things that we feel we could improve a lot. But as always in game development, we'll have to look kind of at what we can get from that investment. Is it the best idea for us to invest in to assign people to work on the flashlight, or maybe we could assign the same people to work on some other feature that we'll think will be more exciting for players and maybe kind of keep players engaged in Dying Light for longer. So definitely something to consider. I cannot commit to anything. I cannot confirm anything at this stage. But for future Dying Light projects, for sure, I think this is something that we'll be looking at very, very closely and very kind of with super focus. Because once again, I think that Dying Light game needs to shine in terms of its lighting.
Agreed. What do you think? Okay, let me rephrase this. When do you think we'll be hearing more information about the Tower Raid?
Actually, we are planning to run some closed beta tests within the next few weeks. Knowing how closed beta tests works, probably there will be some hopefully not big leaks about this, or maybe we'll just share some information around those modes, so it's a little bit more visible to players and to community, because I understand that closed beta is just like a very limited number of players, so and lots of people will be interested in it. But on the other hand, I don't think it will kind of take us long until we start talking about tower rates. So just a little bit more of patience, and we'll start talking about the mode. Right now we are releasing the Nightmare mode update, which is going live in a few days. I think we'll kind of see how that goes, how players react to it. We understand that this is something actually super niche, just for the most hardcore players, and not everyone wants to be challenged like that. So for that is kind of something that we want to deliver to the core of our community. But then as soon as the dust settles and we get the initial reactions from the Nightmare mode, maybe do some updates here and there, we'll start gearing towards the next release, which will be the tower raids, and then we'll start talking more details. But it's maybe just a few weeks until more and more information will start trickling in.
Dying Light 2 briefly, occasionally, experimented with the third-person cutscenes. Rather, it's in the Tolga and Fatine quest, where you kind of see them from a cinematic perspective for a brief moment, or in the epilogue with Spike. Do you guys plan on doing this a little bit more in the future? Rather, it's, DLC 2, maybe a bit beyond. Is this something you guys have planned, or are you guys just more sticking to first-person, and that's the priority?
I think generally we are sticking more towards cutscenes with first-person perspective. I think in both of the cases, the idea to use TPP was used. Like for Spike, it's obvious because it's the kind of like a different character that does something. We are not present there, so it makes sense to show him from third person. With Tog and Fatin, again, we wanted to kind of show those characters and the whole situation there properly. But generally, I can't say there's like a direction for us to go into TPP cutscenes, but then when we'll start working, and so please don't expect like a huge change in that regard in DLC 2. All of the cutscenes that we have created so far for this are FPP, all of them exactly. So there are no TPP elements in it. Maybe we'll do that for, I don't know, intro, outro. That's up kind of still an open question, but so far we believe that FPP is the type of perspective which offers the most maximum immersion, and Dying Light games are all about immersion. So this is something that we are pursuing both in gameplay and in cutscenes. I can't say that at some point in the future where we will see that doing a TPP cutscene or cutscenes, it makes sense narratively. Maybe we'll do that, but so far there are no plans to do that switch.
I personally think Dying Light, the first game, is definitely ahead of its time in numerous ways, but are there any plans, or have you guys talked about going back and maybe remastering the first game?
Yes, we are discussing quite a lot of things actually, and there are different ideas that we would like to explore at some point. But then actually, I would like to hear from the community, from your viewers, from you yourself. Do you see that this would make sense? And if this would make sense, then what would you expect from this kind of a remaster or a remake, right? Because I actually that's kind of funny, because I see this question popping up in here and there in community, and I think people are actually kind of really starting to get interested and starting to entertain this idea. But I think I will revert the question. I would like to ask, what do you guys would expect from this kind of remaster? Because I think that's the most important question to answer, right? What, like, if we're doing this, then why are we doing this? What would you guys would expect to have in it? Is it just better graphics, or maybe you want better graphics and something else? Or maybe the graphics aren't that important because actually they still hold up quite nicely for the original game. So maybe you would expect this to bring something more to the table. So actually, if I can use that opportunity, if you can ask your viewers if they will be willing to comment under the video and share some of their thoughts about this, then there's a way for them to maybe impact our thought process behind this.
The Dying to Know series, I would say, is really popular and really brought the community together for those big moments, those big updates. Are you guys planning on bringing the Dying to Know series back in any sort of way?
Maybe I think maybe we'll do something like that for the Tower Raids, because this is going to be a bigger release for us. So I'm not saying no. This is also a format that we liked a lot. I think it was very informative for the community. Of course, it was scripted a little, and you could feel that this is kind of like us saying, not being as natural as for example I am during this conversation. So I think these are different formats, but generally, I think what players expect is this more natural type of conversation. But I think there are also different kind of formats for different people and different needs. I think Dying to Know was this great video that you could send to other people that could understand what we are talking about within 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and kind of get the gist of the feature that we are introducing. A conversation like this lasts longer. It's maybe interesting more to the most dedicated players. So I think there's space for both. And yes, I also loved it. So it was a great format. So hopefully we'll be able to bring it back at some point.
All right. So everybody knows the Tower Raids are the priority right now. The big thing that's coming next beyond Nightmare Mode. When do you think we'll be able to hear more about DLC 2?
Like, it's first Nightmare Mode, then we'll start talking about Tower Raids, and I think then we'll start talking about DLC 2. It's shaping up very nicely. We are playing it basically every day at the office. We are having a very kind of quite a big internal presentation of where we are in actually this week, so everyone is super excited about it. I think it will be, I hope that players will appreciate what it is, but again, please just a little bit, just give us some patience and give us some understanding that we cannot reveal everything at once and cannot release everything at once. So first Nightmare Mode, then Tower Raids, and then we'll enter the DLC 2 era.
My final question for you is, what part of Dying Light 2 are you most proud of?
Oh, wow. What I'm most proud of is, I think it's it's the last 2 years, the amount of work and the amount of features we have added to Dying Light 2 over those last 2 years. I think especially the last year, with the gut feeling update, good night, good luck update, and then community updates that happened afterwards, and the firearms update. This is a proof of our dedication to the game and to our community, and how open we are to listen to communities' requests and suggestions. We are constantly doing that. Even the next update that's about to drop will bring some changes to the density and the behaviors of volatiles during the night, because we've heard actually there's a lot of discussions on Discord and Reddit that maybe the nights became too difficult after Good Night Good Luck update. We are changing how the virals behave so that it will be easier to dodge their jumps. So like basically we try to listen to our community, we try to deliver the features and tweaks requested by our community. We very much believe in this collaborative kind of community-driven type of development, and I think we are proof that this is sustainable from the business perspective, but also deliverable from the dev perspective. And this is something that works well both for the developers and the community. So I would say that's the thing, that we are able to release so many updates, so many meaningful updates over such kind of short windows of time. This is also a proof of our capacity as developers. So yeah, this makes me proud.
Okay, well, that is it from me. Thank you so much for deciding to come on and talk back to the community. I think the Dying Light community really does appreciate the transparency for sure. So just from me to you, thank you.
And from me to you, thank you. And to all of the guys that will be watching this, thank you guys for supporting us. Please continue voicing your feedback. It's very important for us to know what you think about the game, the good things, the bad things, the things in between. We'll try to listen as much as possible and update and develop and grow the game according to your liking and our liking. Thankfully, those likings are actually quite in line. So this kind of cooperation is something very special. And let's keep it going. And thank you for the invitation.